Look, so to start this off, you can tell we're two different people.
Here we go. Got my coffee. It's black. We have nothing else in it.
I have 300 milligrams of caffeine through a rain. So
About 60 versus 300, and we're good to go.
is that a shot of espresso?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're
Cafe Bertello Bustello.
Brutello.
But to get us started, guys, my name is Brandon Caldwell, and I'm with
Drew Caldwell.
my brother here. I'm 25 years old. Drew,
I'm 20. I was 19, but 20-year-old now.
mm-hmm. And right now we're on a path of life. I guess you could say it's not really, I wouldn't call it entrepreneurship because we don't technically own our own businesses or anything yet, but we're definitely considered more intrapreneurs. We work for a company, but there's a lot of freedom in the company. So we're able to kind of work off a lot more freedom. And we're in supplement retail. So
we get a lot of experience with entrepreneurship. I mean,
ton.
With the Bowling Green store, but I mean, we'll get into that too.
Of course, we'll get into it. But the reason we wanted to start a podcast in the first place was because we're heavy content consumers, I guess you could say. It's not even really necessarily like the same thing all of the time, but we listen to a lot of, your business moguls that explain what steps to take. And we read a lot of books on how to get to X, whether it's personal development, business, whatever it may be. And we were just talking, and we felt like there wasn't a podcast or a piece of content currently out there where there are young 20-year-olds that are just kind of trying to make it and haven't made it yet, are in the very beginning stages of trying to make it. And we didn't want to make the podcast as a way of, this is how you do things, or we're going to educate you on how to do X.
Right.
It's more of just, this is us trying to get it. Like, this is what the process looks like. And we're also really into endurance as well. So we're going to mix a lot of our fitness in here with everything that we're doing with our small businesses. So
I was going to say, it was one of those things where it's like, you can go to somebody else, say like Andy Frisilla or Alex Ramosi or somebody like that, and you can watch their content, and you can get really good advice from them, obviously, like we listen to them. But it's not one of those things where you can go to them and like just like relate in the moment with. And I feel like that's something that's needed. I mean, and there's also really not something where like you can go back and like they had started from like 20 years old, like with a podcast, and like you could hear all their experiences and like actually like go through like life with them. I mean, I feel like Nick Bear is the only one that like you get from the very beginning.
of course.
So
I think that's a great point to hit off of, because when you think about it, a lot of people don't start the content beforehand because they haven't really, the milestones aren't there yet for them to feel, I guess you could say, adequate enough to where like, oh, people would actually want to listen to me. But whenever we were thinking about the purpose of the podcast, it was like, how can we create a community of people who are just like us, younger, and they're trying to figure it out, whether they were in real estate, whether they're starting their own pressure washing business, and this is a blue collar thing. We just wanted to make it, I don't want to say cool again, but we do want to make it cool again to start small businesses, and like in real small businesses at that, dude, that help real people and share our experience along the way. So
yeah, just wanted to preface with the fact that like we haven't figured anything out, and we're not trying to give anyone advice. You might hear our own advice on here, but that doesn't mean that you should go home and use it, because we don't have...
Brother, we are two very regular guys just along the way trying to figure it out. But yeah, so we want to make the first episode a little bit more on like who we are and what our background is and what we're doing now. So to start that off, I'm pretty sure we'll just kind of like jump into our stories, bro.
Do you wanna start with your story?
Yeah.
Like what it was like growing up. I mean, we're in the same household, so I mean, you can kind of do that for the both of us, but like where high school was for you, and then like what college was like, and how that transitioned into where you're at now.
Yeah, so I'll save like all of the things from when I was younger, but we grew up in a really small town, bro.
8,000 people. Yeah.
8,000 people, really small. And obviously, when you're growing up in this small town, it doesn't feel small. You know where everything is, you know every street, you know every person. But when it's all you're accustomed to, that is the world.
Yeah.
That is the world.
You have no perspective.
And our world happened to be sports, brother. It just it did. And when I say that, I don't want to make it seem like I was like some just super like sport head jockey. I was really into school, obviously. So growing up, I'm not your typical entrepreneur, intrapreneur, whatever it may be, that is just like, oh, fuck school.
Yeah,
that I like wasn't like, I was like really into school.
You're really good at school. Yeah,
I was really into school. I was a school guy.
And every day we got home, we'd go and play like wiffle ball out in the yard. You know.
Yeah, like
that was
very active kids, really into school. All the way up until like I'm getting A's on everything. That's just kind of how we were. That's kind of how we were raised. It wasn't that school was a means to an end. It was more so just if you were going to do something, you did it to your absolute best ability. And if you were going to half-ass anything, then why are you doing it in the first place? So, yeah, small town. Was really into school. Played every sport you can possibly imagine. I'll kind of save all the small details there because nothing is super special about high school. But going into college, that was a huge transition period for me because I had to start kind of figuring out, as everyone does, but what I wanted to do. So obviously, I played baseball. I went to a small Division III school in up more toward Northern Illinois, and that was a point in time in your life when you have legitimately no idea what's going on, no direction. You were just picking schools off what you thought sounded cool.
Yeah.
At the end of the day. And I went to a small private school where I thought I would get more playing time. So I pulled up kind of thinking that I was like, I'm going to start my first year of college baseball. I'm at this like smaller Division III school. Like, no way I don't start, right? Like I'm going to go in and play. And I would say that was my first awakening in my life because you go to a small Division III school and there's still dogs there. There are still guys who live and breathe the game. And it's not only baseball. That just showed me that no matter what I was going to do in life, there's no way you're just going to show up and just kind of grab the position and it's going to be yours. You got to work for what's yours.
100%.
But yeah, spent a lot of time just at school. I was in what was called an honors program in college. I didn't even know that was a fucking thing, to be honest with you. I spent hours studying every night. I would get hundreds on everything. Like I said, I was a school guy. And toward the end of that year, I would say that is where I went into one of the darkest places I would say I've been.
I was about to ask, like, if you had any like points where like you struggled at all, and like.
Yeah. Toward the end of that year, I hadn't played a game. Don't get me wrong, I got some at-bats, but I hadn't played a game, so that wasn't something I was used to. And then on top of that, that was the first time I got hit with my life, kind of the feeling of I don't even know if what I'm going to school for even makes half a sense. I was going for actuarial science. I didn't even really know what that was. And I also wasn't playing. So you take somebody who was always used to always playing, obviously always knowing like what's next, to this feeling of like, I have no idea what's next. And then you're 3 hours away from home, you're by yourself, and it's also just kind of like, all right, like this is the game. This is what it takes to figure it out. So me being 19-year-olds, like obviously I thought the best thing to do is leave when you're uncomfortable. And looking back, I will say that is the biggest lesson I have learned up to this point in my life. And that's the moment that something becomes a little bit uncomfortable. Don't just dip out on it, because sometimes you have to see it through. Because looking back, I could definitely have seen that program being something where like I would have grown in. You eventually be the guy.
You learn something from it too.
Yeah, of course, bro. And you look back like, wow, that 1 year where I didn't play, like, yeah, I didn't like really earn any accolades, but you learn so much in the process of not playing, of like trying to figure out what you are good at, what you can lean into.
feel like it kind of goes hand in hand with like business.
1000%. And that's a big reason why anything that we decide to do today, no matter how shitty it feels, it's more of just like, you have to see it through because the grass isn't always greener. And that's kind of what I learned because I went to, my next year, I went to a small junior college for baseball because I was trying to figure out if I could go to a higher division to play. So I was going to go to a JUCO and try to get to a D2 or a Division I eventually. And I played out that entire year. Things were going well. And then right before the actual season hit, that's when COVID hit, COVID-19. And that sent everyone back home.
Yeah.
That reunited me and you.
Yeah, I know. You came back home.
So we were living together again. And moved back home and went to like my local like 4-year SIUC and finished out a degree there in exercise science. But
Where'd you work?
What, like during that time?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So right when I got out of school, I was absolutely broke. I was a college athlete, brother. I had no money. And if I did have money, it was because of my loans overpaying on my tuition. And then the excess hit my bank account and I thought I had money. God, I was a fucking idiot. But after that, I ended up, I picked up a job waiting on tables at a local restaurant. Shout out Giant City. But I waited on tables and I grinded that because I didn't have money. My main goal at that point in time was like, how can I receive as much money as possible while being in school? And for me, it just kind of made sense. I would say that that's kind of the point in time when, I don't want to say like I learned sales, but kind of got comfortable with talking to people, walking up to people I didn't know, managing like just your brain in a high intensity environment, like it being very busy. And dude, I would work so many hours.
I remember that.
Doubles on doubles on doubles, brother. I did not, like there wasn't a weekend I didn't work.
I remember that, yeah.
Yeah.
You'd work like every day of the week.
And this is around the time I would say I really started to learn about finances. I really started to, I came across a lot of Dave Ramsey stuff actually. And I started thinking about things like my car payment plus insurance couldn't be over 10% of my monthly income, and how much I was putting back and putting into Robinhood to invest. And I would take all of my cash to the bank after every shift and deposit it. And I would wake up and look at my account every morning and like just put money aside. And I would say I was about a year into that. And I got a call from Ryan Finke.
I was with him. I was in the back of the car.
Yeah, Ryan Finke. He's younger than me, but one of my best friends now. But he works at Stack Supplements, the company that I currently run, and Drew owns a store in. But Ryan was in Stacked Supplements, and he called me and was like, "Hey, brother, like I know we haven't talked. And keep in mind, me and Ryan hadn't talked in.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Dude, I mean, 2 years probably.
Yeah.
Like we talked, but I'm saying like a phone call to just be like out of nowhere, like.
Well, I mean, it was almost like, I feel like you knew Ryan mostly because of like me and Ethan hanging out, and
we were all into fitness.
Ethan is my best friend and Ryan is his older brother. But mostly just because of like that connection. I feel like, cause you were older than him in school, and like,
yeah.
Were you in high school whenever he was in high school?
Yeah, I think
for a short period of time.
Like only 1 year.
1 year, yeah. And then it was like 2 years with me and Ethan, but
nonetheless, this phone call was out of the blue.
Yeah.
Like this was very weird. And this is one of those moments like in the universe when things I think just kind of align. But he was like, hey brother, I know that you're like in school full time and you're waiting on tables all the time, but like I will say, like, I know you're going to school for like exercise science, like you're really into fitness. Like I just started working at Stack Supplements. And like you would love it, bro. Like it's like right up your alley. Like you talk fitness all day, you get your products at a discount, whatever it may be. And I'm sitting there thinking like, how much do you make? He's like, whatever, an hour plus commission. I'm like, brother, I can make $200 off one table.
Yeah.
Like I'm not wasting my time going over here. You know what I mean? Working these like just hourly shifts. It made no sense. But he was like, just come by and talk to the guys and just kind of feel it out. And you know me, bro, like for me to drive all the way there in the midst of everything I was doing, like I'm not just like But for some reason,
It is weird how that worked out.
for some reason, I drove all the way there like the next day and talked to them, and I saw them interact with a few customers, and I remembered to this day watching Ryan sell. It was a woman that came in and sold her creatine, and it was actually Muscle Force BCAAs. And I remember like her thanking him and the interaction like so vividly that I was like, wow, like this is actually like very cool.
No, yeah.
I can't imagine making money doing this in a way. And
Didn't you do part time here at? You did part time at Stacked. Oh, like for like not too long.
Yeah, yeah.
Like with Giant City, and then like
Yeah.
super quick.
Yeah, so I did part-time at Stacked after. It was kind of history after that. I did part-time at Stacked, and I would do 2 shifts a week, but they were open to close. So they would put me, looking back on it, it's kind of bogus. But the guys who were running the store at that time, we would get our transfer on Monday and Tuesdays, and they would put me on Mondays and Tuesdays. And I would work the store by myself, open to close. So I worked 20 hours a week. But no one else was ever there, and I kind of started to really like that vibe. And I would say that was when I really started to get accustomed to a supplement store, and just it wasn't talking to people waiting on tables anymore. It was talking to people about things I actually enjoyed. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's
I'm actually
fun.
Yeah, like I'm talking, like people were coming in and asking me questions about the InBody, asking me questions about protein, and that was when I was kind of open to the idea that. I would say that was the first time like the work didn't have to feel like work ever in my life, and I was just working the floor.
Mm-hmm. And what were you doing at that time, like in school?
In school, I was.
What year were you in?
I was in my 3rd and 4th year, and like I said, I was going for exercise science, so I was heavy into like my like chemistry classes, chemistry labs, bio labs, all the above.
How long did you graduate from starting Stacked?
I started and then graduated. It would have been like a year and a half after I started.
Okay. It was a little bit longer than I thought it was.
Yeah, so I was in school for a decent amount of time while I was doing Stacked and waiting on tables. So I was in school full time, and then I was working legitimately. I'm not even just saying these numbers. Like I was working like 60 to 70 hours a week, which isn't crazy. But I mean, when you throw school on top of that, like like fitness.
You gotta study and get all your shit done.
Yeah.
But
and then from there, when I got toward the end of my degree, I was planning on going to chiropractic school the entire time.
At Logan in St. Louis.
Yeah,
right?
Logan University. And I got accepted into chiropractic school. I was, dead set on going.
Like, I remember that. Yeah.
I like the owners of Stacked. I remember sitting down with Matt and Melissa and literally telling them straight up, like I am gonna go do that. That's what I'm gonna do. And it was just understood that like I was gonna leave eventually. And whenever time came around and I graduated and it was time to leave, I just remember watching how, truthfully, like how Matt and Melissa operated, and having my eyes opened to, wow, you can kind of create whatever life you want to. I think for so long, like I just operated in this zone of like, you got to go to school. Next is the job. And I was, like I said, I was like this straight A student, dude. So like, it just made sense to go be a doctor of some sort. And it's crazy. I didn't even think about the fact I was going to have to take out, $250,000, $500,000 in debt just to, and then you have to start your own practice after.
Like make money like the way society like tells you to make money.
Yeah.
It's like go to school, get your diploma, like get your graduate from college, and then work to make like the most money you can being like a doctor or a chiropractor.
Yeah. But I think when I graduated and I was physically getting ready to leave, it was this feeling of like, wow, I actually have a choice here, and I'm leaving something I enjoy doing, and these people are making a good living and they love it. It was this thing of like, you can choose, So this is probably one of the crazier decisions I've made in my life. But at this point, I was not one of the main people in the company.
No.
Like, don't get me wrong. Like, they got along with me and like they thought I did a good job, but I had them all at the store at one time. So these were like the owners of Stacked, and I just looked at everyone in the eye in that moment and was like, hey, I'm not asking you to give me the opportunity, but I just want you to know I'm dropping out of chiropractic school and I'm pursuing working these stores full time because like I think that I can help grow these things. And I remember them just kind of being like,
Honestly, just thinking about that like is insane to me, because like I feel like
bro, I just dropped out of chiropractic
yeah.
school and I was making whatever hourly
Well,
plus commission, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna
That's
do
what I'm
this.
saying. Like the way that you had lived, like growing up for so long, like going to school and like getting straight A's, like for you to make that decision, like you know it was meant to happen.
It was way outside my comfort zone.
That's insane. Yeah.
I would say though, from that point on, around this point in time, like this is when I was listening to Andy Frisella pretty heavily.
Okay.
And I just knew that if I provided enough value, that there would be room for me. And I think what I realized in Stacked was the fact that there was so much opportunity. Yeah. I saw how many people walk through the doors every day. And I saw the current, I guess you could say like landscape of people like in the stores. Like there was maybe 1, 2, but not a ton of people who were all in. And it was just obvious that, hey, if you go all in on this, there's definitely a possibility.
For you.
Yeah. So I went all in, and I mean, how else could you put this? I mean, I opened and closed the store for a long time, open to close, like worked every weekend, and just worked the floor a ton until eventually the people that were above me, and there's really no other way to put this, but they like fell out of love with it, found something else to do, didn't see eye to eye, whatever it may be, and left. So all in the same time, we had the person in charge of purchasing. We had I guess you could say like graphic designer, like marketing person, and the person who was doing customer service all leave at around the same time. Like I would say in the course of like a month or two. And at this time I had already started taking on a lot of responsibility. But I was just kind of like, fuck it. You know what? Like everybody wants to leave. That's fine. I'll just like,
I'll take it.
I'll do it, you know? So I just like, that was the time I could become a Renaissance man in a sense. And it was like, I'm just going to learn it all. So I started learning about marketing, like what different ads to run to get people into the stores. I started learning about onboarding. I started learning more about sales in general. I would say sales wasn't as much of content I was consuming. It was more of just working the floor. But started interviewing more people. We hired more people. We lost people in that process. And I learned a ton of lessons. And also, like I said, picked up the purchasing. So learned inventory management in the process as well.
But I mean, literally got to learn business like from the ground up.
Like how cool.
Yeah, like after everybody left, like you got to learn how to do everything in business.
How cool.
Yeah.
Like awesome. You can't a degree can't buy you that.
Not at all. Yeah.
Learn it all at once, brother. And damn did I learn it. I've went through so many different, I don't want to say people, things, and I'm still learning to this day, brother. Like still learning to this day. But the thing that I enjoyed most out of all of it, out of everything I learned was leadership for sure. That's the thing that I'm most passionate about. And it's not like leadership for me. It's leadership in terms of when you are put in a position where you can affect someone's life, seeing someone learn a skill or seeing someone succeed in an opportunity that you were able to like help them get. That's the most fulfilling thing in the world for me. And I think that that's why I like entrepreneurship, whatever you want to call it so much, is just the ability to provide opportunities for other people. I think that's the coolest part of it, bro.
Yeah, it's awesome.
But yeah, here we are, dude. You fast forward another year and a half. We opened a store in Bowling Green together, obviously. So we had the experience opening a store together, and we can go more into that story.
I can give the background, and we can do like what we did together.
Well, I'll let you give the majority of that story, but got experience like opening a store together. We put on some really big events for the stores. and met some really cool people.
Yeah.
Traveled a lot, and
Things are fun now.
yeah, they're fun, and just kind of learning as we go, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like learning as much as we possibly can. I have nowhere close to having as many of the answers as I would like to have, but damn, if I could give any piece of advice off of listening to my own story and me tell it out loud, it's like when you feel that you know something is right and there's an opportunity to learn in general about something that you enjoy, how fucking cool to be able to get paid and learn at the same time.
Yeah, dude. Not many people get that opportunity.
Other than that, dude, I would say in the past year, the other thing that we've really gotten into, because it kind of does build into my story, is endurance training specifically.
Yeah. Do you want to get into that later too?
Yeah, we can get into the endurance side of things more, but that's where I'm at now. That's my life. Now I'm running. We have 5 locations that are owned by the company. Outside of that, there's a franchise at the 6th location, and then there's 2 locations in Montana that we're part owners on. So 8 total, but 5 of them are owned by the 2 people that we work for, and then I run those, and then we're part owners on the store that you own in Bowling Green. So I'll let you go into to your story, bro, and then you can kind of go from there.
Yeah, then we can go over like how it kind of like goes together and like
How
things
we got
that like
into endurance training
we've done together and
Yeah.
like how our story came about with like 75 and Bowling Green, which is a fun story. I like that.
Yeah.
But my story is very similar. Obviously, I come from the same house. But growing up, I was into sports, straight A student, same thing. Like, I feel like that's kind of like what was expected growing up.
I didn't
in
talk
school.
enough about that.
I mean, just with that's just kind of how we were raised. Is like kind of like you were saying, like you're gonna do the best you can, like at whatever you do.
And it wasn't that we got shit on if we didn't. It was more of just like you were made to feel bad. Like mom would just kind of hit you with that.
That's just what's expected.
Just
yeah.
kind of like, oh, like that's how we perform now, and you're just like, fuck no.
Which is like, I mean, I fuck with it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like we learned a lot of good things growing up. And I do remember one time I've gotten 1 B in my life in 2nd grade, and we were going to Disney World like after school got out. And mom found out that I got an 89 in
what she did
in English class in 2nd grade.
about getting a B, and it's like it's
1 B ever in my whole life. Got in the car after school. Mom was like, "We're not going to Disney World." I was like, "No way." But it's an 89. It's an 89.
You give me 1 more point.
Bro, that teacher was bogus, bro. She called me up. Nah, actually, she was cool. I like that teacher. But she called me up. I remember it. She was like, "You got an 89." And it was like an 89.4.
You ever think maybe she was trying to teach you something there?
Yeah, I probably did. And
No,
I'm
think about
glad.
it. Because she's like, I know this kid has never gotten a B, and it's like,
she knew that like she could have given me like a 0.2 extra, and like I could have gotten an A, but like,
dude,
that's not gonna do anything
honestly,
for me.
I wish we could dab her up right now.
Yeah, no, she's a really cool person. But
Keep going.
yeah, I wanted to tell that part. But
Yeah.
Growing up, I mean, football was my main sport. I was quarterback. I feel like I was always attracted to like the position or like the sport where like I could lead the team and like I could be that guy. I've always liked being in that position. That's why football was my favorite sport and playing quarterback was my favorite position.
Little interesting because I was also like offered the same opportunity but kind of backed away from it when I was your age. So it's really interesting to think about.
Yeah. I've played quarterback since I played football.
And you love that pressure.
I loved being quarterback. Yeah. Which that's the main thing I did in high school, was play quarterback. I played basketball up until freshman year.
Yeah.
Didn't play it afterwards. It just wasn't as fun anymore. But I played football, baseball, and then I even played golf in high school, which was fun too. But my story really was about the same. I kind of like, I feel like I got lucky with with you and like the things that you did, because I feel like I kind of just followed in your footsteps with everything.
Yeah, fuck you, brother. I had to go figure that shit out
You
myself.
did, yeah. You went and figured it
I'm
out,
just
and
kidding.
then I learned from you.
Yeah.
I mean, like my first job was Giant City Lodge.
Mm-hmm.
Like you had worked there, then I started working there, and my second job was Stacked, and you had gotten the company before I did. But basically, my story was high school, everything that you could imagine. Played quarterback, played sports, got straight A's in high school. And then whenever I got into college, I didn't pursue sports in college.
Mm-hmm.
I could have pursued football at like a D3 level, but it just wasn't interesting enough to me to go play a D3.
Talk more on that, because I would say when I was at that like transition point, there was no way I wasn't going to play. But whenever you got to that transition point, like, you love sports, bro. But like, what do you think made you say like, it's not worth it, I'm just going to work and go to school?
I mean, I loved football, like with a huge passion, but like for me, like I visited the towns where I got offers from for the D3,
Mm-hmm.
and like just straight up, like it just wasn't nice enough. Like
Mm-hmm.
the towns were small. Like I pictured myself like going to school there and like having to like be in that town every single day, and like it just like it seemed miserable.
Mm-hmm.
Like before I even went, which I'm glad I just wasn't like delusional and like just decided like, oh, I just want to play football just to like keep playing football.
Yeah.
Because I know I would have hated it if I would have went.
Mm-hmm.
And just small town, because it's a D3 school.
Mm-hmm.
Not much to do in that town. Like all you're gonna do is go study and then go to practice. And kind of like you said, like you got to work your way up. I wasn't gonna play. I was gonna sit on the sidelines as a D3.
Mm-hmm.
Like I would have rather just went and made money in college.
Thinking about that now, I think you were more prepared for like business than you realized at that point.
Maybe.
Because I think when you made that decision right there, that was when you said fuck it.
Mm-hmm.
Not like fuck it in a bad way, but fuck it of like, I'm just going to bet on myself. Like, I know that I'll be successful in whatever I decide to do.
Well, yeah, and I mean, I always knew that like I wanted to make money. I didn't know how I was gonna make money.
Mm-hmm.
Like playing in high school and like trying to figure out what I wanted to do after high school.
Mm-hmm.
I knew I wanted to make money. I always kind of wanted to like get into business and like start my own thing. That's why I went for initially like a business degree.
Yeah.
I already kind of knew that like that wasn't really gonna do anything for me. I was just kind of waiting around until like I figured something out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I went for a semester in college at Southern Illinois University, which was just the next town over.
Mm-hmm.
I got an apartment with my best friend, Ethan,
Mm-hmm.
and we lived there for that first semester.
What was that like?
It was different. I mean, it didn't like feel much different from living at home, like just like living there and like going to school. I will say the one difference was like I like to have fun in high school. Like, I mean, we partied all the time in high school, like every weekend.
Yeah.
And like we go do dumb shit. But it all
What's
kind
dumb
of,
shit?
I mean, just like drink and party,
Mm-hmm.
like and go fuck around, like drive around places and go fuck around.
Was this like every weekend?
Yeah, every weekend.
All right.
Which
I'm asking that so like it prefaces, you know what I mean, the rest of the story.
yeah.
But
I mean, we just had fun in high school. Like, I mean, I don't like regret anything. Like
Yeah.
high school is fucking fun. Like we did a lot of shit every single weekend and played sports and like,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And then I got to college and like that shit just wasn't fun anymore.
Why not?
I don't know. I really don't have an answer for that. Like I got to college and like people would want to go to the bar and like it might have been COVID, like just not having like connection with like new people and like new faces.
Mm-hmm.
But that was like around the time like in college where like I didn't like meeting new people.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say like I was like an introvert
Mm-hmm.
at that point in my life. I didn't like going to like the bars. I didn't like talking to people. Like I just wanted to hang out with the people I knew.
Had it always been that way, or did it change after?
It changed after COVID.
What do you think? Do you think it was just COVID and like
Maybe
being
like just being
Isolated.
isolated. Yeah.
mm-hmm.
I think like the phones and like social media and all that kind of stuff had an effect on it. Like just scrolling your phone all day,
Yeah.
you become really antisocial.
Mm.
But yeah, I didn't like it as much in college. I didn't like drinking as much anymore. Like we kind of did a little bit here and there, but like it wasn't as fun. And then that's when I started working at Stacked. I started working in August. Actually right before I started going to SIU that first semester. And within the first semester of being in college, all of the same things happened that you were talking about, where everyone left at Stacked near the end of my first semester at school.
I didn't think as much about how that affected you either.
Yeah,
that's a good point. Keep going.
Well, also like on the being like the introvert topic, like Stacked changed that for me. So like getting into Stacked, like I was so nervous the first time I remember I had to talk to a customer. Like I didn't have the experience of being like a waiter, like waiting on tables or talking to people. Like I was a bus boy.
Yeah.
I just cleaned up dishes. So like going into that, dude, I was terrified. I remember having like a meeting with Matt and Melissa that first time. Super nervous. Like couldn't like really talk to them very well. And like I remember calling you afterwards, like, bro, like they're gonna think I suck. And like I was just nervous. I don't know why. Like, which looking back now, like how far I've came. But
I remember when you came into the company and Matt and Melissa were asking me like, if you're gonna like you're running this thing and you have a brother who you're telling us is just like you, why the fuck does he not work here in a way? And I'm like, I think for me it was always just like I wanted you to have your own thing, but I think when you dove in, you fell in love with it for the same
100%
reasons.
And like I got the opportunity to like talk to people like that I didn't know every single day, and like you like are forced to like create conversation with those people and like get to know them and like understand them.
You realize why Andy puts that on
75. Yeah.
What is it, phase 1 or 2?
It's one of the two. I remember it from his book, but like you have to talk to a stranger every single day.
Having to talk to strangers will change your life.
Dude, it'll change your life 100%.
Yeah.
And that's why whenever I got into the company and like I had to start talking to people, like that kind of changed everything for me. Like being in school, like I could talk to people. I still didn't like going out to like the bar because that just wasn't my scene anymore. Like I knew like I wanted to do other things, and like partying and the college life just wasn't really for me. So we just like I'd go back to the apartment every single day. I'd work, I'd go to school, and that's kind of how it went down for the whole semester until that point where everybody left. You took over everything else, and we didn't really. I kind of got thrown into the position because I'd only been there for 3 or 4 months.
Holy shit.
I'd only been in the company for 3 or 4 months, like working the floor, and there was nobody else to run Marion and Carbondale at that point. And like there were some people that had been in the company for a while, but they didn't really show interest in like working their way up in the company. So it kind of got handed to me in a way, which I mean, like I feel like I worked pretty hard and like I did want it. So like I think it went to the right person. But then I started running the Marion and Carbondale location from there while I was still in school. And I did that.
Damn, your life changed fast.
Very fast, yeah. So I started running the Marion and Carbondale location like 3 to 4 months into working at Stacked. And that was around the time that the semester was coming to an end. I had been working and managing Carbondale and Marion for like 2 or 3 months. And I remember having the conversation with you before we knew anything about Bowling Green or like doing 75 hard or anything like that. That like, did it make sense for me to go back to school the next semester? Because the semester was coming to an end and I was managing Carbondale and Marion.
Dang.
So all within August to December, I went from working the floor to managing 2 stores and then talking with you about like just pursuing business. And like, because at that point I didn't really like school anyway. Like I was going for a business degree. Like I knew I could learn more just from managing Carbondale and Marion. Like it really wasn't doing me any justice to go to school.
Do you remember what month you started running them? Because this is going to play into the story.
It was October or November.
That sounds right. Oh, it was October because that's when everyone left. It
So
definitely was.
I started in August,
Uh-huh.
September, October, so 2 months
Oh
after
my God.
after like starting working at Stacked.
That's crazy.
That's
to think
wild.
about.
Yeah.
Keep going though.
Started managing Marion and Carbondale, and then so October, November, December, and then 2 months after I started running both the stores, the semester ended, and me and you sat down and talked about like what are the possibilities that I just like dropped out and just pursued Stacked, and I was with that because I did not like school, and studying business was just didn't make sense to me. Like I can learn more running these stores than I can from like going to school and like learning. So I dropped out after that, knowing that I'd just be working or managing Marion and Carbondale, and like we'd get to other things down the road. And then that's kind of where it transitioned. So December to January, whenever we got to January, obviously New Year, was it 2 weeks into January is whenever I texted you?
I could probably find the text, but yeah, that sounds right. 2 weeks into January.
Yeah. So I dropped out of school, managing Marion and Carbondale. 2 weeks into January, it was like 10 at night. I don't know why, but I got the urge to.
This is also another one of those moments, like where you hear about it, and this is like the universe, like like when time feels like it stops, and someone says something or you're doing something, and that memory becomes very vivid for like the rest of your life.
Yeah.
This is that, but keep going.
So this is kind of where like the stories intertwine, and we can both talk about it. But 2 weeks into January, I text my brother one night, like honestly, fully like I remember the night exactly. I was like standing in my bathroom, and I was like, yo, I'm going on a run, like fully expecting my brother not to like be like, yo, I'll go with you, because
I was a power lifter, bro.
well, no, like I just said it, and like I promise you, I did not expect you to like tell me that you're gonna go with me. I just like I want to say it was like 10:30 at night, and like I know you go to sleep early, like, and you do all this other shit. So like I just sent the text like, yo, I'm going on a run, because I just wanted you to know I was going on a run, and you're like, all right, let's go, and I was like, okay. So we go out at like 10:30 at night.
Just okay.
Hey, okay. Okay.
That one like behind one buddy like goes to him, but he's like, okay.
Yeah.
Keep going.
No, and then we go out there that night, and then I don't remember if it was the same night, but back to Ryan, man, Ryan's always starting something.
Man, Big
Ryan was doing 75 hard at the time, and I was like, shoot, I'm gonna join you, you know. So then I think the same night I told you that I was gonna like just start 75 hard.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, I'm not gonna let my little brother do it, and not me.
I do want it to go on record here. I already knew Ryan was doing it, and the whole Cape team was doing 75 hard at this point, and I kind of tried to ignore it. But I was supposed to be leading. Oh damn! Almost dropped the drink. I was supposed to be leading everyone at this point, and I knew they were doing 75 in Cape, but I was like, "There's too much going on. No way!" Right? Talk about limiting mindset, but keep going.
Yeah, and then I was like, I'm gonna start 75 hard, and you're like, yeah, I mean, we might as well just do it together.
I said it casually, but in my mind, I'm like, fuck.
Yeah.
I know if we start something, we're finishing.
It's gonna happen.
Yeah. So it was like
we got very serious about it too.
Well, yeah, like it wasn't just when we say we're gonna do 75. When we say we're gonna start a podcast, when we say we're gonna do 75, we don't just like, especially if it's together. So I'm like, damn.
Yeah.
Here we are.
So we started that night, and honestly, we didn't start at a good time because it was fucking freezing
and snowing.
Yeah, freezing and snowing. So you have to, for those, I mean, I don't know who's gonna be watching, but 75 hard, you have to do an outside workout for 45 minutes. You have to do another workout for 45. So it's 2 workouts, 45 minutes. One has to be outside. So we committed to doing that every single day for 75 days, and we started that. I don't know how long it was into 75 hard before we started talking about it, but we started talking about the possibilities of like opening another store. And to be honest with you, like whenever we started talking about it, it kind of sounded crazy. Like how is this going to happen? Like I just dropped out of school. I have a lease right now. Like how am I going to drop my lease, go down like to wherever we open a store and pick up another lease, move all my stuff down there? Like how are we going to set up the store? Like how does that even work?
Mm-hmm.
Like, dude, I'm like clueless. I've been in Stacked for like 6 months at this point.
Thinking back, I'm like, what made us want to open a store in that point in time? Like, you had pretty much just started managing 2 stores.
Yeah.
I was a year into running everything. So it was like, why the fuck did we, like, yeah, as we take on all this responsibility, great idea to just go open another one. Made sense, though.
Dude, I
for
don't
some
know.
reason.
And I wouldn't have it any other way. I mean, it
No,
played out. Yeah.
Keep going.
So we started talking about that. I think it was like within like a week of being in 75 Hard, we started talking about it.
Yeah.
That was in January.
We were just on the track. We would walk the straights, run the curves.
Yeah. That's how we got into running too. Yeah. So I guess that ties into like the endurance.
It does.
Was Matt already training for the Ironman?
Yeah. So Matt Short, who owns Stack Supplements, he was already training for Ironmans at this point. And he had been, I don't want to say like on our ass, but like he talked about endurance sport like quite a bit to us.
Yeah.
We just like, we had always been lifters, and we had that mindset of like,
I'm gonna get small if I start running.
Why would I go get skinny?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like
I'm trying to get big right now. What do you
why
say?
would I do that? But
yeah. No, so we start talking about that, and we're casually running. I remember trying to run a mile and like absolutely dying.
Yeah, it was like the hardest thing.
It was terrible. I was running like a 10:30 and it was freezing cold.
And you have no idea how to pace yourself, and you're just like,
it was bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were walking the straights, running the curves.
Mm-hmm.
But that's how that started in 75 Hard. Because I remember we were like, I mean, if we're gonna do 75 Hard and we're gonna like, we have to have an outside workout. Like, why do we not just run?
Yeah.
Like, why do we not just start running? So that's how we get into running, and then we continue to talk about opening the store. I can't remember like all the conversations that we had, but I remember bringing it up to Matt and Melissa. And it was just kind of one of those things like, if you can figure it out, like figure it out.
Yeah.
And I remember you started looking for retail locations. You found one pretty quick, honestly.
I found one fast, and I had been to Bowling Green at that point.
I've been there once.
And this space was like right next to like a brand new coffee shop. Dude, it was Coffee Emporium. Or coffee, is that right? It's like called Coffee Emporium in Bowling Green. It has like a queue.
Yeah, they call it the queue. Yeah.
Oh, that place. But they had just put a spot up, and right next to it was like this brand new retail. I'm pretty sure it was like over 2,000 square feet. Also, keep in mind, this is me being dumb. I've never done this before. I was like, that's a great spot.
That one was outside of Bowling Green.
It was like right outside the outskirts of it, and I brought it to Matt and Melissa. Matt and Melissa were like, you know, kind of like, didn't really shit on me, but more just kind of like, I like where you're going here, but like,
yeah, that ain't it.
This is outside of the town.
Yeah,
like right outside the outskirts. You're not really on a main drag, and not to mention it's a brand new retail, and the rent's probably going to be $5-6 grand a month. If you're trying to like cash flow in any way, shape, or form, like, probably not the greatest idea, and that's a really big store. So then obviously you're kind of crushed at that point. You're like, I found the perfect spot.
Yeah.
You fucking kidding me? But really, like,
yeah,
makes sense. But.
And then you found one off Scottsville Road. So those of you that don't know anything about Bowling Green, it's a big square. So you have Nashville Road, which doesn't have a whole lot on it, but it goes right beside campus. Campus is downtown, but then Nashville connects to Campbell Road, and Campbell connects Nashville and Scottsville. And then Scottsville is the busiest road in Bowling Green. Busiest road in Bowling Green. I remember looking it up the one time, and it said they had, like, that road sees like,
it was like 50,000,
an insane amount of people every single day.
Yeah.
But that's where like all the stuff on the road is. Like you got like your mall, like all of your restaurants.
Come from Nashville, Tennessee? Like, would they, if they were going to Nashville, would you have to go on Scottsville to get on the highway
You can to
or
go
the interstate?
off the onto the interstate.
That would make sense why it's that busy then.
I mean, Nashville is too, though. Nashville Road too.
True.
But I mean, either way, like that's where everything in Bowling Green, or most things in Bowling Green is on off of Scottsville Road.
And we should preface too, like for people who don't know about where Bowling Green is or Nashville Road, all this, Bowling Green is right outside of Nashville. So everyone who listens is gonna know.
It's like 45
which
minutes.
Which is probably like 3 people
Nashville.
off the first one, but like everyone who listens, what's up, mom?
Mom.
Everyone who listens, they're going to know where Nashville, Tennessee is, but Bowling Green is right outside of that. Nashville is becoming so big that Bowling Green is one of those towns that people are just
everyone's moving to commute to Nashvile.
But keep going about the space.
And then I believe the second space you found was our space.
It was.
So our space, it's right in the middle of one of the most popular boutiques. Not even in Bowling Green, but like this place is massive online.
In the country.
Yeah, in the country, which is Pink Lily.
Yeah, Pink Lily. I'm sure they know about it.
Yeah. And that is on the corner. It's been there forever. That's where their like Bowling Green retail spot is. Mm-hmm. And then you have Pub by Novo, which honestly I don't think we knew like a ton like before we first moved down there. But Pub by Novo is probably the busiest restaurant in Bowling Green, 100%. That's where everyone goes.
Easily.
Every single week, you'll see the same people there every Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, it's good. I mean, it's a great spot. But we are right in the corner of those two. And we found that off of Scottsville Road, which is also right beside the mall too. Mm-hmm. I think we found a great location. It wasn't super visible. Mm-hmm. Looking back, I think if we found something more visible to the road, it might have been a little bit better. But I think we got a great spot.
I think that's what we realized about retail was when number one, location is probably the most important factor. I would say that's the only factor of that store that we probably got wrong. Was it should have been, if we were going to put it in that strip, it would have had to been on a corner so it has road visibility, not just like off the back.
Which I mean, either way, it worked out.
Of course.
And I think the location's nice. Like it's perfect size. Like,
oh, bro, your store it's beautiful.
They redid the floors. They painted the walls. They painted the ceilings black. Like it was perfect. But we got that figured out in March.
Thinking on that, because now I'm trying to negotiate other leases for other places, it's crazy how well that worked out.
I know.
Like the space, to put it in perspective, didn't take much renovation at all. It was kind of already set up to be a supplement store, I should say. Like it took flooring, painting the walls, and then outside of that, we got like the landlord was great, dude. He was cool with giving us TA money for all of the renovations. He put a new bathroom in it for us, and gave us it was like 2 or 3 months of rent free, mm-hmm. and then came in the first month and bought 50 gift cards,
$1,000 in gift cards,
just to give to his friend. Like we got very cool guy.
Yeah, and he's done that 3 times now, which is insane.
Yeah,
but yeah, we figured that out. I think by March. So I knew that I had to get down there by April because we were going to open in May. So we kind of set the date for opening day beforehand, and I knew that I wanted to get down there a month beforehand to be able to set everything up, get out in the community, make like connections and relations. Mm-hmm. And that was in March. So I had to find an apartment in 1 month that allowed me to move in April and mm-hmm. start my lease in April. Mm-hmm. And we did that pretty easily. Yeah. Like you signed the lease for the spot. I signed my lease to go down there a month beforehand. And then we started getting everything together. You got Brennan did all the back end stuff. So he figured out like everything we needed for the stores, made like a full list, ordered everything to the store. Which I'm glad that like I went down there a month beforehand, looking back at that now. Cause like
if we redid that,
if we redid that, like I think you need someone down there a month beforehand, 100%.
Well, you need 2 people.
2 people. Sure. Yeah. Well, yeah. to like do booths and like all that type of stuff.
Outreach.
Community outreach is what you need 2 people for. Now, and setting up the store, honestly, yeah, you could use 2 people. It'd go by a little bit quicker. But the month of April, I moved down there. Brennan had ordered like everything for the store. So what I did the whole month of April, which is the whole month leading up to our opening day, is I built everything in the store. So I went there. I went to the store every single day. Something would get delivered. I'd build it, whether it was like a desk, all the shelves.
The fact you were able to do those shelves by yourself is kind of
wild. I have videos of it, and that shit was fucking hard. I dropped it so many times. I'd wake up, I'd go to the store, and I'd work there until 5 o'clock some nights, and then I'd go to Fuel, and I'd work out, and I'd go to the fighting class just to talk to people and like meet people.
You're being like modest there. He would go. Fuel is the spot in Bowling Green gym.
The nicest gym. Yeah.
And that's a whole another story in itself. But Josh and Katie Biggs own Fuel, and really, really good people. And they've built super cool culture at this gym. One of the cool, if not the coolest gym I've ever been to. It's
100%. There's nothing like
they have
Fuel Fortress.
Man,
anywhere.
And they have their own meal prep company as well. So they have a meal prep like little shop next to the gym. So you can literally be working out, go next door, get your meal prep, and then go home. Like, it is the coolest setup you've ever seen.
Yeah, 100%.
And when we went down there, it was like,
about that.
We have to be friends with these people. Like they like, aside from like anything they could give us, it was just like, these are our type of like. And I think you knew, like, if I want to have a life here, like, they got to be, like, that's got to be my boy, and, like, I got to know these people.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, keep going. I just wanted to throw that
in there. That's a good point, because we carry Clean Eats meals in our other Stack stores, and we knew that whenever we went down there, like, Josh carried meals, and he carried supplements.
Yeah, and that's why I was saying you're being modest, because Drew knew that he wanted to, like, obviously, like, I got to be friends with Josh. Like, they control the fitness, I guess you could say, like, community here. And, like,
yeah.
Also, like, if I'm going to be friends with anyone, like, that's probably the person I want to be around. He's successful. He's done this. Like,
yeah, 100%.
I want to know this guy. And I think that that's also one of the things with business is that I think is so cool, even since we're in the very beginning stages of it. And it's just like the people that you have met along the way. But Drew, this is why I brought this up, because Drew would go to the gym every night, and Josh does he does fighting classes,
Muay Thai training,
yeah,
jiu-jitsu.
Drew had never done this before, and Drew would go to Muay Thai classes however many times a week.
It was
random whenever you could go.
Yeah, I think like 3 times a week.
So you're just getting your ass kicked
for the month leading up,
just to meet people, because you knew no one.
Mm-hmm. It was fun. Like, I really enjoyed the Muay Thai classes and jiu-jitsu classes. Yeah. But I did meet a lot of cool people. I made some good connections initially, just going to that gym that month. Mm-hmm. But that was the biggest thing. I think the biggest, like, learning lesson for me, moving to a different town and, like, not knowing anyone. Mm-hmm. And, like, being forced to make connections because you know there's no other way. Like, there's nothing else you can do but go and make connections with people in the community. Mm-hmm. Like, if you don't, like, no one's going to show up on opening day.
Yeah, can we zoom back out for a second, since we're still pretty much on your story? You're 19 years old.
Oh, I forgot about that.
You just dropped out of college.
Yeah, 19.
You started managing a store. 2 to 3 months into managing the store, we start talking about opening one. Mm-hmm. Like, you know what the fuck's going on yet. And we set up the plans, and you completely uproot your life then again.
I moved to Bowling Green, Kentucky, 3.5 hours away from home.
By yourself. You didn't know anyone.
No one.
I was coming there every weekend or every other weekend to help, like, whatever it was, like, putting things together, bringing you product, going to the gym with you. But, like, 90% of that was all you, just there by yourself. And it was like,
and like building the store. I remember some nights I was in there until like 2 a.m. just like building shelves.
Yeah.
and getting stuff set up, which is crazy. That's weird to think about.
There's still probably a lot more of those stories to come too, but it's just
at 19 years old. That's wild.
Oh, yeah, dude, that's crazy to think about.
And being forced to like talk to people and like make connections and walk into businesses, like, and introduce yourself and like your company.
Let's put that in perspective for some people, or like even if like there's like guys out there that are your age that are watching this. If I was listening, like, let's also make it clear, neither of us are close to making it. Like, we're very beginning stages. Like, we just put our sock on. Like, I don't even know if that makes sense, but we just started. But like, if listening to you, the skills that you've gained from that and like the person you've turned into through that process is,
I'm a completely different person.
It's crazy. You just took someone who said they were an introvert, like you didn't even want to go out on the weekends, to now I'm in a brand new town and I'm forced to go to this fight class to meet people and go to this gym, and like it's so far out of your comfort zone. And like I remember you used to talk about being like super anxious all the time and like socially just like
Well, I remember like talking about that and like calling you. I don't know if I really like explained it, but like moving down to Bowling Green and being forced to walk into like a business. I'd set like a goal for myself each day to like get into 3 businesses and like talk to people and like explain like what I do and who I'm with.
Yeah.
And like it'd be a struggle. Like I'd sit in the car and I'd be like, damn, I really don't want to go in here right now. And then like I'd get out and like that you know that feeling whenever like you're like getting anxious or like you feel like it's like kind of hard to breathe a little bit. I'd get that and I'd walk in. I'd be like, hey, like my name is Drew. Like I'm with like a supplement company that's like coming into town. Like super nervous. But that was like the first like 5 days that I had to do it.
Yeah.
Was just that like initial like going in there and doing it. And it got better as the days went on. Like, I mean, kind of like Alex Ramosi says, like it's all reps. The more I'd done it, the easier it was to go into a business and talk to somebody. So like by the end of the month, like I was super comfortable with like walking into like a business and like introducing myself and talking about Stacked and
going down there too, to like put it in perspective for people listening. Like when I would go down there, the types of people that Drew was attracting weren't like people his age. Like it wasn't, and I'm not trying to like brag on you and make like Drew's dick is huge or whatever, but like I'm just saying the type of people that Drew was making relationships with, they had no idea of his age. They like when I would talk to them about Drew, they thought Drew was like 25 to 30. And hearing that, like especially people that knew like the old, is it fair to say the old and the new Drew? I don't really.
Yeah.
But like the people that knew the old Drew, like they'd be like, no way, right? It's like no way, people. But it became like very common of people thinking you were like 25 to 30 years old.
Yeah. Which I mean, like I want to like preface by saying too, like I wasn't like a complete introvert. Like I was a quarterback at like the football team in high school, and like I had a lot of friends. Like I talked to a lot of people, but like like I like that like anxious feeling of like having to talk to somebody new. Like that got a lot better as like moving to a new town and like meeting new people, and like
the difference though
being uncomfortable
is like in the, I guess you could say like in how your life was before everyone kind of like knew of you in a way. So like you're never really meeting people that you are complete fucking strangers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like in a new, like in a town,
new town,
you're just a guy.
I know nobody.
Like that's just restarting. Like you're just a guy. Like you walk in like,
no connections.
Know nothing about you. Like you're starting from ground zero. That's scary, but also like kind of cool at the same time.
Yeah. And I mean, it was kind of terrifying, like the first few days, like having to talk to people. But like I said, it got easier. And then got the whole store set up. Everything was good. Opening day was great. We actually had a lot of people show up, which I think opening day was an eye-opener for me too.
Yeah.
Like with all the connections that I had made in the community and like that month leading up, like what I was capable of.
Do you remember how many people we had show up that day?
368.
That sounds right. I was going to say over 300, but.
Because I looked back at May 4th, like the opening day, it was like 300 and something new customers. But Yeah, opening day was great, and like just like I remember the night before, kind of like being super anxious the night before because I'm like, man, that would be embarrassing if like I did all this work like the month leading up and like no one showed up tomorrow.
Yeah.
But I mean, the next day, at 10 a.m., like we had a line, like people were
Waiting.
like, yeah, it was super cool. Like I remember that feeling, just like looking around and being like, damn, like I did, like, I guess, I mean, we were in ads and stuff too. It wasn't only me, but
No, I would say it was mostly you, but at the same time, it was this combined effort for sure of like, also like when I say like I did the back end, that was all of like the like setting everything up and then seeing that like you took care of that while I was able to do the back end was like there's really no feeling in that. I think that was the first time I realized like the saying of like you can go like I don't even know how it goes, like you can go far alone, but with a team
further, yeah,
with a team or like with I guess you could say like your brother or even if like Matt and Melissa of like having like their guidance or advice, like you're gonna go a lot further with people that you enjoy being around. But
it was cool knowing that like me and you had gotten that and like built that together.
yeah, it all started from a conversation on the track.
75 hard.
Doing 75 hard. Yeah. And I also like whenever we say that, dude, I do want to be clear that like the store is still in the very beginning phases. Like
Yeah.
it's
We've been open for 8 months.
yeah, like it's still showing signs of like the new customer count is what we like to focus on, and you're still getting how many like new customers a month?
A month, like around 100.
Yeah, around 100 new customers a month on average, and growing it to be like a Marion or like a Carbondale or like a Cape type of store. But I mean, it's been open for a little bit over 6 months.
Yeah. Do you want me to talk about how like the months went?
Yeah, yeah.
Like just real briefly.
Well, that's your life. I mean, the store is your life. So now like
Yeah.
now we opened the store like. So now from opening the store on, like what was your life? Because fucking A, dude. From here on.
Honestly, that's where it got hard.
Let's be real.
That's where it got hard.
That's where it got hard. Because the fact of the matter is like.
It was not hard going down there and talking to people. And, like,
and you get a lot of like, I don't want to say bullshit recognition, but in a way of like, oh, opening a store, like you open your own business, like. Not really, but like we invested in it. We both put like up a $10,000 check to like get a piece of ownership in it. And like you took that huge chance and like, oh, big celebration, balloons, fucking all of this. But like,
all right, now get to work.
Now the work like actually starts.
Like no one's cheering you on now. Like go do the work and go fucking grow a business.
Be there, open to close every single day by yourself.
Which I knew that was gonna. I knew like I was gonna have to do that like going into it.
Yeah.
But yeah, from May 4th, you stayed the day after with me on May 5th. Whenever we started this store, we wanted to write handwritten cards to all of our new customers that came in. So we'd get an address for every single person that came in the store, and we'd write them a handwritten card and thank them for coming in. So that's what me and him did.
How many did you write after the grand opening event?
Nearly 300.
300 cards.
Yeah. I remember you helped me out the day afterward, but I still had multiple cards to do. But the month of May wasn't like terrible, but I worked the store open and close every single day the whole month of May by myself in Bowling Green by myself. So 10 to 8 every single day, 10 to 6 Saturday, 10 to 5 Sunday. And, oh, dude, on that, I forgot. May 5th, the day after we opened, because I forgot we skipped around on all this. We had already watched Matt Short do an Ironman.
Yeah.
The month before.
Yeah, great time to bring this in.
And obviously that's inspiring, watching an Ironman.
Yeah.
But the whole day I'm sitting there thinking like, dude, like what could I do that's like this fucking cool? And like obviously I can't go buy a bike and like the swimming gear and find a place to swim and stuff like that. So I was like, what's the next craziest thing you can fucking do? So run 100 miles. And I remember talking about it all day long, and finally you were like, all right, bro.
To set the stage here, like we're in the Woodlands in Texas, and we were filming Matt's Ironman. So I had my camera out all day.
Yeah.
And then here you go.
You're like, all right, bro, like Tell the camera then. Like, you said you're gonna run 100 miles.
Like, man, you've said it 3 times.
Yeah.
Like, you keep talking about it. All right, then we're gonna
like, let's go.
We're gonna put like a timestamp on this.
Yeah. So he gets out his camera. He shows me. I'm like, all right, whatever. Like, I guess like in 2024, I'm gonna run 100 miles.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I didn't like know if I really believed it, but like I said it, and like, but yeah. Fast forward to the day after opening day, I was on a high, obviously, because I just opened the store, and I was like, "Fuck it, I'm starting it now. I don't give a shit." So I don't know how from the Runners Lounge in Bowling Green, because I was talking to people in the community, like making connections at the Runners Lounge in Bowling Green. I got a card for the cross country coach at WKU, and he wrote plans for running. And the day afterwards, I set up a meeting with him, and he started coaching me, and I signed up for a 100-mile race the day after we opened Bowling Green store. So I started training for a 100-mile race, all while working the store open to close, starting in May. So
some might say that's dumb as shit.
Probably, honestly, probably very dumb. But I worked the store from 10 to 8 every single day. And also dumb too, I'm not a morning person, so I ran at night. So I worked 10 to 8. I'd get off work, I'd go home, I'd change, and then I'd go run, whether it be 10 miles, 12 miles, 18 miles, 20 miles.
Yep.
Training for a 100-mile race, I'd run it after work. So sometimes I'd get done at 11. Sometimes I'd get done at 2 in the morning. And then I'd wake up and I'd go work 10 to 8 again.
Yep.
And I did that for 2 months until Big Jerem started working with me.
You hired your first employee. But Jerem, this is cool. Jerem was the first guy that we met in Bowling Green.
He was.
We
walked Fuel.
We walked into Fuel Nutrition. This was their meal shop to try out the meal prep, because obviously, like, we were trying to make friends with everyone there. This was our first trip to Bowling Green, very first one, and Jerem was the one working the shop that day. And Jerem actually didn't work.
He didn't work there. Yeah, he said that he was just helping Josh out.
He was just friends with Josh, and Jerem was just there that day, happened to be there, and we really liked him. So we ended up we would hit him up and ask to meet every time we went down there, what he was doing. And then we ended up sending Jerem, dude, I remember it to this day. We sent him some Axe and Sledge, intake pre-workout, and then one of the new Just Work, cream sodas, because he was really into Axe and Sledge. Jerem was, obviously Jerem was in the military, and Axe and Sledge is a big supporter of anyone that is in the military. So we sent him some product and whatnot, and then the relationship was kind of formed there. And then Jerem ended up, we say Jerem worked for you, but really Jerem, Jerem was already working at UPS and he was in the military, so he was helping you out. Really,
he was helping. No, 100%, he was helping.
Jerem was helping you out, and man, dude.
But dude, he was honestly, best case scenario, Jerem was great in the store, great with people. Dude helped a freaking ton.
Yeah,
and Jerem could only work in the morning, so I still had to go to work from 10 to 8. It didn't change anything. I still worked open to close.
Yeah.
But there was a couple days where I could get out while he was working the store during the day to go run or get some miles done during the day. So that kind of changed a little bit, but I still ran most of my runs at night after work.
Yeah.
I was still working 66 hours a week, and that continued through all of my training for my 100-mile race, which was in August. And in August is when I hired Taylor. So I had Jerem Taylor there for a minute, and they helped me out a little bit around that time, but they could only work up until the day and the day after my race.
Yeah.
So I ran my race August 25th.
Yeah. And we'll make another full episode on that, because you have another
100 coming up. Yeah.
February 1st.
But yeah, worked the store open to close, short and sweet. Worked the store open to close in Bowling Green. It did pretty good. It was 25K the first month.
And this is net sales, or this is gross?
This is this is gross.
Okay, keep going.
25 the first month because of opening day. The second month was 22.
Dip off and
yeah.
like, wow.
The third month was back to 25.
Yeah.
Which was July. And then August was the best month. I did 33 gross, I'm pretty sure.
It was 39.
39?
Yeah. Because you almost hit your 40. Yeah.
Oh, because we did 2 giveaway days.
We did
month.
a lot of events at the store.
Okay. 39. I think that's whenever I started thinking about total sales. Or net
that's
sales.
why, it's irrelevant because of discounts.
But like 30. And then we stayed consistent from August until December.
Yeah.
Because those are the slowest times for supplement retail. But like I was still growing like
new
in the
customer
meantime.
count.
Like new customers all the time. We just didn't have like some of the same people coming back in.
Yeah.
Which I've gotten a lot of those people back in January.
Yeah.
This far that like just kind of fell off the wagon and like stopped working out.
Yeah.
And now they're getting back into it. So like I do have a ton of people that I had seen like early on whenever we opened the business that I'm seeing now.
Yeah.
But ran my first 100 in August. That's kind of how the store has went the whole time. It's been great. We're looking to improve even more in the new months of 2025. I think we're going to be at a good spot here in the next 3 months.
Of course. I think this is like the part I would say of your life where, dude, I think it's a great topic for like what motivation serves as. Because if we're being real, motivation was a huge part of opening the store in the very beginning. It was like this momentum. But at some point, whether that's training, business, whatever, momentum does slow down. And a lot of times it's out of your control, whatever it may be, like something happens, whatever. But like sales got stagnant in a way. And that's where we're sitting there like, what else can we possibly do for this store to bring more people into the store? Like, do we have to do more demos? Do we have to you send every single one of your top 100 customers a personalized gift, which you did?
Yeah.
Because our thinking was, instead of always trying to go get new people through ad spend, through
demos, people that you have right now,
let's just take care of the people who have been loyal since day one as much as we can, and like
we'll go tell somebody else.
And that has like
that's helped a ton.
That will always be like in the
take
corner.
Care of your people.
Yeah, cornerstone. Sure. Yeah, take care of your people, and that'll be the best, I would say, marketing tactic that you'll ever have, especially in supplement retail, is like taking care of the people that already come in through your doors.
Yeah.
But yeah, keep going, because now you're about up to where you're at now.
Yeah. And then I believe it was 1 or 2 months ago, two months ago. This was like a month or two after my race in August. I got really into the ultra running world. Like I love it. I'll ultra run for a long time in the future. I wanted to find my next race, but I wanted it to be like a race like pretty soon because I was like already missing it.
Yeah.
So I found Rocky Raccoon in Texas, which doesn't have to be a super cold run. I didn't want it to be super cold.
Yeah.
It's pretty warm.
You didn't want the terrain to be straight hikes up rocks.
Oh yeah.
And
Also that too. I didn't really know what elevation was or like what it looked like. Whenever I signed up for.
I know what you're saying though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, and for my first one, it was like 15,000 feet of elevation over the course of 100 miles. And I didn't really know what that meant.
Yeah.
Like I just kind of signed up and went for it. I was like, oh, it's in Illinois. Like, you know, it's not like crazy hilly or anything. No, that was terrible. Like
I'm excited for that episode.
That messed me up.
I'm excited for that episode. I'm excited to like fully dive into each part of that 100-mile race.
Are we talking about that 100-mile race? Or are we talking about Rocky Raccoon?
We're going to talk about both. We'll talk about like your experience with the first one, and then we'll go into like what you're doing differently for this one and like leading up to it. But I want that to be separate in itself, because that was a whole 2-hour-long story in itself. But
but I found Rocky Raccoon in Huntsville, Texas, February 1st of 2025. And I just went ahead and signed up. I remember I just texted you. I was like, what do you think? You're like, let's do it. And I was like, all right, fuck it.
Mm-hmm.
So signed up for that one, just kind of like I do with everything else. Like I just jump in head first. And then we watched you do High Rocks in Texas.
Yeah.
Got inspired by that, so I signed up for one of those.
Would you say you signed up for that one? One, it's something you and Taylor can do together. Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So cool experience. But two, just to kind of like just to try out different areas of like endurance fitness.
Yeah. 100%. Like I think I thought it was cool because it's almost like competing in sports again.
Yeah.
Like you get that like competitive like
yeah
feeling back, which I mean you can get in a 100-mile race, but it's just so long.
Yeah.
That the competition just really isn't the same.
Yeah.
It's not like an hour-long event where like you just go as hard as you can. So which I kind of like that about that. So me and Taylor signed up for High Rocks Miami, and I also put in for Leadville 100.
I do. Yes, and that's why I'm bringing that up, because I do like, if this is someone's first time of hearing from you, like I do want to make it clear that like you run ultra races. You know what I mean? Like that's your thing.
That's my thing.
Yeah. So that way they're like, oh, this dude's just like dabbling. Like, no, like you love ultra running and like that's your thing. But High Rocks is more of just kind of like,
I just want to do it for fun.
Yeah, have fun. Like train your body in a different way for a little bit, and then
bounce back in. But you
found out about Leadville next.
I found out about Leadville in 2 days.
Oh, 2 days.
Tuesday.
Holy shit.
Tuesday.
If you get in, when is that?
August 16th.
If you get in, we're traveling a lot this year. I know that much.
Yeah.
Jesus. I guess you guys will find out in the next episode.
Yeah, you will.
I just kind of started sweating thinking about that.
I know.
That's a lot of,
crazy commitment.
Yeah.
But with Leadville, it's one of those things too. Like, it's a once in a lifetime opportunity, and to get in through the lottery, like I know Logan. Logan said he's put in. I could get this wrong. I think like 3 or 4 times.
Oh, like every
year?
For
Leadville, every year. And he still hasn't gotten in.
I'm surprised he hasn't. That's pretty crazy, dude. His resume is. Yeah.
Well, it's not about your resume. Like you just get picked. Like
it's just random.
It's random. So like he said that one of his friends put in for the first time and just got in like that same year. So with Leadville, like for me, like it didn't make sense to wait a year to put in for the lottery, because like what if I don't get the opportunity this year or next year? Like I might as well start now to like get the opportunity to race it. Yeah. Because you never know when you're gonna get that opportunity. So I mean, if I get into Leadville, like I'm gonna be shitting my pants. If not, like it's not the end of the world. Like I just started ultra running, so I'll just prepare again for next year and I'll run a different race.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I put in for Leadville. I find out Tuesday, which it's Sunday right now. Running Rocky Raccoon on February 1st, which is 27 days away. And then High Rocks Miami, and I'm also gonna put in for Last Man Standing, Nick Bear.
That's right. I really hope you get into that one.
That would be sick.
That would be really fun, because that's on the new. Is that going to be on the Bear Ranch?
Yeah.
Yeah, that one would be really fun to go watch. You asked me, I think, if I was going to do that one, and I was like, I'm going to leave the ultra running to you, brother.
Sounds fun.
I'll be there in the pit, though. I'll be there to support, and I'll be there to film so everyone else can watch. But, hey, you got it. That's
overall story. Started in August of 2023 with Stacked.
Yep.
Now I partially own my own business. I used to hate running, and now I'm running 100-mile races. Your life can completely change within a year. It's been a year and like 6 months since I started this. Yeah. And I'm a completely different person. I'm a partial owner of a store. I have many connections in Bowling Green. I know a lot of people.
Let's also throw in there, though, because I'm realizing right now, whenever you hear things like that, like if you're watching it, like, or listening, like in your car, you're running right now, whatever you're doing, and you're listening, you hear that and think like, oh, I'm gonna go do my own thing and start it right now. Abso-fucking-lutely, go do it. If you've had that idea, go do it. But you're gonna feel that shit.
That comes with some sacrifice.
You're gonna fucking feel it. You're gonna feel it a lot of the time. But how much cooler is it whenever you do finally get to
But you also don't ever have to like know anything to go do it.
Of course.
Bro, you like I was like so clueless whenever like we were going to open up a store.
I would almost say that would work to your benefit. I think if you do know everything, I think that it would be kind of like, why the fuck would I do that?
Mm-hmm.
But when you don't, it's almost better to be blind, because like you just kind of, when you do get hit with it, it's just like, oh shit, like here it is, rather than like, I know that's coming eventually.
Bro, like I knew nothing. I just like, we just did it.
Yeah, we still know nothing.
I still know nothing. Yeah.
Still don't know.
Like, bro, like I'm so much further than I was a year and a half ago.
Uh-huh.
And that was just based off of like having an idea and just taking steps every single day to like get there. Like I like took blind steps, but I fucking took them.
What's the motto?
Huh?
What's the motto?
Putting points on the board.
Yeah.
All you got to do is put points on the board every single day.
That's why we say that.
Yeah.
It's almost like if you take like a football game or a baseball game, whatever sport you like, right? You're not just going to win the game in one quarter. And I know if you've played sports, you've had a coach that said that before. Like you can put as many points up in one section of the game that you want, but that's not how the game is won. The game is won by putting points on the board every single day. And putting points on the board sometimes may be getting up and doing that one task that you said you were going to do for that day, and at least you got it done. But like, make sure you're putting points on the board every day.
I think another thing that changed my life too is just like putting myself around people that
Of course.
like wanted the same things and were doing the same things, because I mean it'd be a completely different story if I joined a different company of people that like weren't ambitious and like didn't want to create their own life.
No
like
doubt.
Think about how I would operate and feel. I wouldn't be where I'm at today.
No doubt.
Like if you didn't want to go open another store, I probably wouldn't have been in Bowling Green right now. You know what I'm saying? Like if you were comfortable with just like running the stores and like me just running Marion and Carbondale, I'd still be running Marion and Carbondale. Like if you're not around people that are open for growth, like you're not going to grow either.
Yeah, I would agree with that a ton. I think even like with my experience like here recently, it's like when you do put yourself around those types of people, those people also will recognize whenever you're not putting yourself in that position again.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm realizing that right now, actually, like as we're talking, like, and it will be uncomfortable because those people will make you realize it before you realize it yourself. And that's how you know you're around the right people.
Mm-hmm. 100%. Where are you at with endurance?
Just training in general.
Yeah, like where...
So like I said before, I had started out powerlifting, dude. That was like my thing. I was on this quest for a 500-pound squat. Like I wanted to squat 500 pounds, and that was my like metric. That's what I wanted to work towards. So my first, I think it was like my last actually 2 years of college. Like that's what I did. I did powerlifting preps. I only did one event, just because I went through like 2 to 3 separate like 8-week blocks, like preparing for it. I went through one where it was like very high volume, like doing a ton of reps. I'm saying like sets of like 8 to 10, like 5 sets of squat. And then you do back downs with like front squats and eccentrics. Like it was crazy. But I got the 500-pound squat. And after that, it really just started to wear on your body, I would say. Just like
I remember you talking about your joints and stuff.
On your joints in general, man. And I would say like I didn't feel the healthiest. You're strong as shit, and yeah, you feel like you look good and you're bigger, but I didn't really feel great. And fast forward, because everyone knows the story now, Matt Short bought us watches. Actually, the ones we have on right now. Yeah. Because I really I don't care about upgrading it either. I think it does everything I need it to do.
Garmin Forerunner 265.
Yeah. If you want a good watch, it really is a great watch. I would say the only thing I would like is the one, I don't even know what it's called, but the one that has the flashlight on it.
The solar.
That would be pretty sick.
Yeah.
But yeah, he bought us watches, and I think he knew what he was doing at that point in time. But he bought us watches, so it kind of forced us to really start to track things we were doing. And this is when we were like walk running for 75 hard, and yeah, we fully dove into it, and we ran our first half marathon. And I would say after the half marathon,
talk about that.
That's when I fell in love with it. And I think the reason I fell in love with it was because the half marathon showed me that when you're working towards something in fitness, it can directly affect everything else in your life, like your relationship, business, everything, because you kind of have to, so much time is required to prepare for like those types of events. Just in terms of like the amount of training volume you have to do, that you really have to prioritize your life, because it's not just like wake up and react anymore. It's more of like, no, I'm going to wake up and I'm going to spend time training, and then I'm going to go to work. And then like after work, I still have to lift or do strength training, whatever it may be. And then I also have to have like time for Briley, my girlfriend, or if it's somebody else, like their wife, their spouse, their kids, whatever it may be. You just have to prioritize your life differently. And it puts a little bit of pressure on you. But after the half marathon, then I really got into just training in general, and I really started training. And this was around the time High Rocks became a thing on my radar. And actually, the first place I noticed it was Lucy Davis, to be honest, because I was watching whenever they did the what's that called, man? The Speed Project.
Oh yeah.
When they all did it with Nick, and I noticed that she was really into High Rocks.
Was she in the Speed Project?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and she crushed it, and I was just like, what in the world? Like, what in the world is this sport? But it looks awesome, because I'm like, CrossFit always seemed interesting to me, but I didn't want to do the snatches and the power cleans. I just wasn't a huge fan. But I'm like, they're kind of doing that, but like they're running fast. Like, it looks fun. It looks like a sport. So I'm like, let me try that out. So I dove into it, and I went into like full on like 6 month prep. I started actually more than 6 months out from High Rocks Dallas, and I just signed up. And one of my best friends, Billy, he's really into endurance training. And at this time, I'm like, damn, Billy's a really good runner. Like, I need to get good at running if I'm going to do High Rocks. So I hired Billy as a coach, and he's still my coach to this day. Just because I think he understands me well, and he can tell when I'm overtraining, when I'm not. So Billy helped me prepare for High Rocks, and I just started training for it. So I started, I was running like 40, 45 miles a week and doing 2 High Rocks sessions every week, and just kind of, I would say, pushing myself to every limit that I had, really. And that was the first time I noticed that I can do all of this endurance training, but I would say my body composition didn't change in terms of like for the worst. Like, it was actually getting better, and I was strength training less. Mm-hmm. That, for me, I was like,
mind blown.
What? Yeah, like, I don't have to lift every day to maintain this. Like, and that's why High Rocks became so cool to me, is I think that you can put on muscle mass while doing these movements, like the ski, the row.
I think that was another cool thing
the
that
wall
like
balls
attracted me to High Rocks.
Yeah.
Was like, you go to that event, and like everyone you see there is just jacked and like pieced up.
Well, dude,
and you're like, dude, these dudes can run.
You've done one workout with me. Like, the workouts are no joke.
It was insane. It was tough.
The workouts are no joke.
I run 100-mile races, and I'm sitting there like, damn, bro.
Like, you're like, dude, my cardio, my foundation's there.
Hey, nah.
And then you do it, and you're like,
that
wow.
hurts.
Yeah.
That hurts.
And that's why it's so fun. So like, I put that prep in for 6 months, and then me and him went and did High Rocks doubles. And I'll even be honest, dude, like, a lot of me has thought about like, do I want to get into High Rocks solos as well? Dude, I think that High Rocks solos and High Rocks doubles it's actually a completely different sport. Like, High Rocks solo versus High Rocks double. Yeah, like, yes, it's the same sport, but I think it's...
You think it's harder?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, High Rocks, you kidding me? It's the same race, but you do it by yourself.
Yeah, for sure. That's what I'm saying. Is that what you're saying? Like, it's a different...
Absolutely, it's harder. But I think what I like about High Rocks doubles so much is there's so much strategy to it, and that's why I think I look at it legitimately as a sport, because you can split up the stations however you want to, dude.
Right.
So, like, your partner can do 100 meters of the row, and you could do 900 meters if you were a better rower and you were fine aerobically after into the run. Like, I think that's why I enjoy it so much, is like, it brings back this feeling of like teamwork and strategy. And then on the flip side of it with High Rocks, like, especially Dallas, like, the crowd was live and the music was loud.
Yeah, dude, that's why I said that's why it looked cool.
Oh my God, bro. Such a good time. Like, you're just like running, and the music is blasting, and people are yelling and screaming, and it's just this hour of like all out effort, and seeing the prep come to an end at it's just, that feeling is absolutely like indescribable. And yeah, so our next event is High Rocks Miami. which will be in April, and then we're also doing High Rocks New York this summer, and we got on the like early sign up list for that, and we're signed up. Dude, those are good. They're gonna sell out like immediately.
I don't think we talked about that either. Your High Rocks New York is like a day.
No, it's not.
A day after Nick Bear's.
Oh my fuck.
Bear Ranch.
Are you serious?
Ultra. Yeah.
Wait, so like the day that you finish it, like in that morning, would that be when I'm like that's the day of New York?
No, I think it's like the day you finish, like the next day is like in New York.
Oh my god.
That's if I get in though.
I think you're gonna get in.
How, dude? Sign up start
After
in
Rocky?
3 days.
I think it'd be cool if you had a Rocky Raccoon under your belt and then you were able to
Sign up for it.
Yeah, we'll see though.
Now they're doing sign-ups pretty soon.
Dang, so you'll find out about Leadville and then you'll have the opportunity to sign up for that too.
Oh yeah, and
Quick
then
time.
they tell you if you're in like a week later.
Got it.
So I'll find out if I'm in Leadville this week, and then, I mean, I guess if I try to get into Nick's thing, then it'd be next week that I find out if I get into his.
That'll be a time. But yeah, that's New York. We're gonna go for a sub 58 at that point.
That's
and
wild.
To put it in perspective, we did get a 106 on our first one for men's pro doubles.
For those of you that don't like understand High Rocks, that's wild.
It's not really.
No, a sub 1 hour is wild.
Oh, sub 1 hour. Yes, I thought you meant our first attempt.
No.
Our first attempt was okay.
Oh, that's good.
I was proud of us, given that like we had never raced before. You don't know what the transitions are like. You're kind of leaving a little bit in the tank, like not really knowing what some of the events are going to feel like in the moment. But yeah, our goal is to do a sub 1 hour on the next one, and then hopefully get down to a 58 by New York. And if not, obviously, like the goal will remain, and we're just going to keep working toward that.
Mm-hmm.
But that is the goal, is sub 58 for by the time that New York comes around.
Yeah.
And I should probably throw in as well that I have the Austin Marathon on the radar as well for halfway through February. And
2 weeks after Rocky Raccoon.
2 weeks after Rocky. And right now I'm in prep for that. And I think this would be a good time too to talk about like when I first got into endurance training. I would say like I've dealt with some injuries like knee, ankle, whatever it may be, and they kind of go away as you rehab them and you're good. But right now I'm dealing with something like in my foot, ankle, Achilles. I can't really figure it out. So it's held me back from keeping my volume super high, because as I get into those longer runs, it really, really starts to hurt. But for anyone that's also dealing with like maybe an injury or whatever it may be during training holding them back, I haven't let that hold me back from still keeping my conditioning. So for me, if that's, let's say I'm supposed to have a 12-mile run on the schedule, I'll do the 5 mile until my foot really starts hurting, and then I'll hop on the bike and finish out the rest of the time in the zone 2 or 3, whatever I'm supposed to be in, just to make sure my aerobic conditioning is still there. So right now, yeah, my mileage is like 35, 40 miles a week, and it should be at like 50, 55 right now. But my foot's holding it back from being at that point, but I'm not letting that be an excuse for not putting the training in. So I think that's also where High Rocks is cool and has taught me like the ergs you can use as like other conditioning, like mediums, I guess you could say, to still keep that aerobic base locked in. But yeah, bro, it's going to be a really exciting year for fitness. And to get kind of like, I guess they kind of have both of our stories now, like where we're at, what we're doing this year, to get into more of like the end of this. We're going to keep doing the podcast, and we'll film them on like every Sunday. Mm-hmm. Obviously, that's given that nothing comes up with like the businesses and like stands in the way, or like maybe you have to work the store and I have to come down and we have to do a podcast there, whatever it may be. But
yeah, we plan on videoing Rocky Raccoon's recap the day after I race. So I start Saturday morning, I'll finish Sunday morning. I plan on just taking a nap afterwards, and then waking up and filming the podcast. So you guys will get
on our brain.
You guys will get like raw like emotion and like
and
everything
same thing
about the race.
same thing with like every fitness event we do.
You will do them all on Sunday.
Or anything in business, and we're going to recap it. We'll talk about what we learned. We'll talk about what we fucked up. We'll talk about what we did well. And we'll share everything. Right now, like the medium happens to be supplement retail and endurance events. And in 5 years, hopefully that's the same scenario. But no matter what happens, we're just going to share every single thing we learn along the way. Because we know that someone can benefit from it or use it as inspiration, or use it as just a community of people that are like-minded and someone they can go listen to and feel like they're not alone if they're pursuing something on their own too.
Yeah.
And that's why we're starting this podcast, and that's why we're calling it From the Ground Up, because that's exactly what we're doing. It's from the ground up, and we're kind of still on the ground right now, and we're working our way up to eventually be off the ground. And maybe one day it's in the air, off the ground.
Yeah.
I don't even know if that makes
Flying.
sense. Yeah.
Flying
Off the ground.
Not off the ground, but just flying.
Mile High Club off the ground.
Hey, yo.
That's how it got a little weird.
Yeah, I don't know about that one.
It got a little weird.
So
Yeah.
okay. Where do you see yourself with business and an endurance? Like just like a short where do you see yourself in like 3-5 years?
For High Rocks doubles, I would like Billy and I don't want to say to be like in the elite 15 or whatever it may be. I just want to be very competitive. Like I want to maintain like our current, I guess you could say like stature. I don't want to have to sacrifice any like muscle mass or anything. And I want to be very competitive in the High Rock space. And then for business, whether that is supplement retail or not, I just want to be able to take as much away from the stores as possible to be able to pursue whatever we're going to be able to pursue. You know what I mean? I think that there's still a lot of lessons to be learned from supplement stores that we haven't learned yet. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to sit here and say that opening more stores is what has to be the way we learn more, because it doesn't always have to be that way. But I think that just the stores in general are always going to be a medium by learning more about business and about yourself in the process. So
100%.
I think right now to sit here and say like where I want to be, I don't want to put limits on it, bro. I really don't. Like, I think that there's ebbs and flows with this, and I think that it changes every single day, and if not every second. And I just really, I don't want to put limits on it, dude. I know what we're going to keep doing. I know that we can keep putting events on the map or on the big ass calendar a month out.
That's nice.
And we're just going to keep knocking events down. We're going to keep chipping away at what we're currently doing and keep trying to acquire skills in business, whatever that may be. Like, for me. And if you do, if you want to put like a static, like where you see yourself, you can say yours. That's just my perspective.
Oh, no, I totally agree. I just want going through the process is what gives you the experience and like all the knowledge. So just more ups and downs. I want all of them.
Yep.
Want to learn more. Mr. Fancy.
Yeah.
Mr. Popular.
I guess so.
Shoot. Was getting text.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I feel the same way with business. Endurance training wise, I want to have ran Leadville in the next 3 to 5 years. Mm-hmm. And then also probably a bigger race, something like Moab, 240, 250 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I want to dive deeper into the ultra running space. And try to do some cool races here in the next 3 to 5 years.
Of course. And I think the more we get into these races too, we've learned a lot of lessons in terms of how we want to document them. So I think going into the next ones as well, we can easily build in. And why not post them on the same channel, bro? You know what I mean? Like whenever you do your race, we might as well just post the video on the podcast channel.
Yeah, on YouTube.
So people can watch it.
Yeah, for sure.
So we can just document as we go. We'll talk about it. We'll watch it, and just it'll all be in the same place. Mm-hmm. And that's what I want this to be. I want this to be a place. For everything. Like,
yeah, we'll just post everything.
If you have if you have family that you're close with, I want it to be a place where people can go and be like, wow, me and my brother could do something similar. You know what I mean? Like, even if you don't, if it's like you want to get in more into like endurance events specifically, I want it to be a place where people can go and get inspiration from and learn things. And that's even if they're not doing 100-mile, or maybe it's a half marathon, they can take inspiration from that. And if it's a small business, then maybe it gives them their just kind of like that itch to actually go and start their own thing, whatever they've been thinking about.
100%. Yeah.
That's what I want the community to be for, dude. I wish that, I don't want to say I wish that I had that, but I wish that I had like some form of a community or a place that I could have went to listen to people that were trying to do the same thing.
Yeah. And
as
like
me,
going through the same struggles.
Going through the same thing. So it doesn't feel so fucking harsh sometimes, you know what I mean?
You hear somebody else say it and you're like, oh, okay.
You're like,
like,
oh, okay,
they're going
word.
through it too.
Yeah, that's how it goes.
Yeah. But I think we had a nice little long podcast. Not all of them are going to be like a full life story.
No,
so
not at all. We just wanted to get this first one up. That way, if anyone started from the very beginning,
they'd have our story and like they know like where we came from, and where we're like how we got to the point that we're at, because we're going to continue to story tell, but it's going to be more like present time.
Yeah. One thing at a time
going forward than it is.
Yeah.
Like a full like recap.
Yeah.
On like the past.
Yeah. You just want to give people something to be able to say, if you want to know more about like where we started or the beginning, just go back to episode 1.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
so
this is episode 1.
Everything from now on will be more present time. Things that we're going through and dealing with.
Yes, sir. All right, bro. I think that's the first one.
Let's go. We just did our first podcast.
All right, guys. This is the first podcast of From the Ground Up with the Caldwell brothers, and we're gonna keep running this thing. Thank y'all for listening, and stay tuned for more.